Have you ever had one of those moments? Something happens that you just can't explain away, no matter how hard you try? Well, today we're diving into 3 stories just like that, straight from the archives of the Tape Library. These are real, deeply personal encounters with the paranormal from people just like you and me. So let's get right into it.
And that's exactly what makes these stories so potent, so chilling. We're not talking about some spooky, abandoned hospital far away. This is about the weird and the unsettling creeping right into your own living room, into your bedroom, right into those quiet moments where you're supposed to feel the safest. It's the kind of thing that, once it happens, changes the way you look at the world forever. All right, so our first case file is called The Spirit and the Cat. And it kicks off with a phone call that would make pretty much any paranormal investigator kind of skeptical. A woman calls and says she thinks her cat is possessed. But, as you're about to see, the things she was describing were just too strange, too specific to just brush off. So the owner laid out this really terrifying pattern. The cat would just, out of nowhere, start screaming. Not meowing, screaming. Then it would do this bizarre, slow-motion walk, and if anyone got close, it would lash out. After that, it would go hide somewhere and just growl for an hour straight. Something was absolutely terrorizing this poor animal. So the investigators get there, they set up all their equipment, and the owner leaves for the night. And the house just falls silent. For hours, absolutely nothing happens. They're just waiting, listening to that deafening kind of quiet. And then, at 11:30 p.m. on the dot, that silence is just shattered by a scream coming from the master bedroom. The investigators run to the door, and they see it with their own eyes. The cat is right in the middle of one of its episodes. It's really happening. Okay, so while the cat is going ballistic, a shadow starts to materialize in the corner of the room. They hear a faint whisper, but can't make out the words. And then, standing in a nearby doorway, they see it, a figure, shaped like a person, but so dark it looked like it was literally swallowing the light around it. Now here's the kicker. In the middle of all this chaos, the lead investigator has an earpiece hooked up to his digital voice recorder, and through all the static, through the cat's terrified screams, he hears one single, perfectly clear word being recorded: kitty. That one word changes the entire investigation. The investigator's partner, who's a sensitive, she immediately gets this feeling. This isn't an evil entity. She senses it's a young man, a boy, really, maybe someone who had a developmental disability. He doesn't get that he's scaring the cat. He's not trying to hurt it, he just wants to pet the kitty. So the investigator actually speaks out loud to the spirit and explains how to be gentle and calm with the cat. And apparently, it worked. A couple of days later, the owner calls. The cat was totally calm, just purring on the bed, moving its head back and forth like it was being scratched by an invisible hand. Okay, so our second case, Nana's urgent call, is a whole different ballgame. We're shifting gears from something poignant to something genuinely chilling. This one takes place during a family's very first Thanksgiving after they lost their grandmother, their Nana. So the night starts off, kind of bittersweet with the family sharing memories about Nana, but then things take a really dark turn. There's a crash from a room that's closed off. Then they hear muffled voices. The family hits pause on their movie, totally confused, and then the climax. Frantic, loud pounding on that bedroom door and a voice, without a doubt, their Nana's voice, crying out for help. I mean, can you imagine? They heard her voice call out for her partner, Nanny, and then for the person telling the story. And each time it sounded more and more desperate, more hurt. The brother, who was a total skeptic, was visibly shaking. But Nanny screamed at him, "Don't you dare open that door." That frantic crying and pounding on the door just kept going, and then, at exactly 11:52 p.m., it just stopped. Instantly. Complete and total silence fell over the house.
And here is the detail that will give you goosebumps. It was only later that the family realized the importance of that specific time, 11:52 p.m. It was the exact time that Nana had passed away. It was like they were hearing a replay, an echo of her final moments.
For our last case, a mother's last trip, we're shifting tones again, from outright terror to something like comfort. This is a story that suggests that maybe, just maybe, not all of these encounters are meant to be scary. Sometimes they might just be a message. This story is all about the powerful link between a simple routine and a profound memory. For years, the storyteller had this ritual with his mom. He'd drive her to dialysis at 5 in the morning. And every single time, she'd wake him up by coming to his door and saying the exact same phrase. She passed away in 2020, but that routine and those words were just burned into his memory. So years later, the night before his wife has to have an early morning surgery, he's sleeping on the couch. He's exhausted, just dead to the world. And suddenly, he's woken up by a voice that is clear, unmistakable. It's his mother's. And she's saying those same exact familiar words. "I'm ready, we can go." He just shot up from the couch. Right as his wife was about to try and wake him, they were about to be late. For him, this wasn't scary at all. It was a gift. It was this beautiful, undeniable message that his mom was still looking out for him right when he needed her.
So, we've got 3 incredibly different stories, right? Each one carries a totally unique emotional punch. So what is it about these personal stories, these paranormal accounts, that really sticks with us long after we hear them? I think it really boils down to the huge range of emotions they tap into. You've got the raw, primal fear from Nana's call, hearing a loved one you've lost in distress. Then there's the surprising, almost heartbreaking poignancy of the spirit in the cat, a misunderstood soul just looking for a friend. And finally, you have the deep, profound comfort of feeling a mother's love even after she's gone.
So what do we do with all this? Are these just bizarre coincidences? Are they simply manifestations of grief? Our minds playing tricks on us when we're emotional? Or are they something else entirely? Little glimpses into a reality that's just beyond what we can normally see.
And really, that's the question I want to leave you with. These 3 stories only exist because someone decided to share their unexplainable moment. And it just makes you wonder, if these experiences are really happening, how many other stories are still out there, untold, just waiting in the silence? And what stories might be waiting for you?